Marvel Tōkon has been surrounded by controversy. The game is unfun, is for babies, for mashers, it has no sauce, and many other comments online. And I might be in the minority when I say that I actually had a ton of fun with the game, I'm excited for it, and I trust ArcSys to pull up with a great fun game when this comes out. And they have also publicly stated that we are gonna get more character trailers in the future during 2026. So in this video, we are gonna discuss 10 Marvel characters that need to make it into the launch roster of Marvel Tōkon. Even if we get a small roster, they just have to be on it. So let's get into it. And for me, the first picks in this list have to be connected to the X Mansion stage. When this stage got announced, it caused a ton of discussion online because we see so many iconic X-Men in the background that we kind of assume are not gonna be in the game because they are background characters. But there are 3 X-Men, very classic and famous ones, that are not in the background, and if they don't make it into the game, it will be really weird, which are Wolverine, Cyclops, and Magneto. By this point, with these 3 characters not being in the background of the X Mansion stage, it is almost like a soft confirmation that they have to make it into the game. They are not only some of the most iconic X-Men characters of all time, but also they are some of the most classic MVC characters, Marvel vs. Capcom characters, that could have a really cool redesign and fresh take made by ArcSys, like what is happening with characters like Ghost Rider and Spider-Man. And in that sense, I'm really excited for these characters to make it into the game, and I think that they would be a great addition for both very casual new players that want to make it into the fighting genre with Marvel Tōkon, but also for legacy players that maybe love games like MVC and want to give this one a try, but they don't feel that convinced by the gameplay loop of the game, that maybe these characters are gonna pull some people from that older crowd that are playing, Marvel Tōkon games since the late 90s. And those for me would be the classic X-Men picks that need to make it. Then we have to talk about the Avengers. This game also has very classic Avengers characters with, the Japanese take on their designs, like Captain America and Iron Man. And I just personally cannot see a Marvel fighting game by this point, especially after the insane success of the MCU, not having Thor and Hulk, the other, basic foundational members of the Avengers. I think that Thor and Hulk have to make it into the game one way or the other. If characters like Thor and Hulk are DLC, it would be absolutely nuts. It would be so weird, man. Like, they feel like essentials. They just have to make it into the game. And also, I think that both Thor and Hulk could have some of the most interesting gameplay redesigns out of any, classic Avenger pick. And they just have to make it, in my opinion. It would be incredibly weird and unsatisfying to not have some of the most famous and classic Avengers in Tōkon, taking into account that we already have Iron Man and Captain America in the game. Hey, just in the case that you've been enjoying the content until now, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to support the channel, and let me know in the comments which characters you want to see in the Marvel Tōkon roster. And well, now let's talk about pick number 6, because I would personally like to see more villains in the roster of this game, and taking into account that ArcSys has said publicly that they want to put different characters on this game from what MVC was, I would love to see a Spider-Man villain, either on Doc Ock or the Green Goblin. I think that both of these characters could be amazing for a fighting game. Their gameplay design could be incredibly fun, but also very unique. And they have never been in a fighting game before. They were not a Marvel vs. Capcom, so if you want to basically show something very different to the player base of your game from what MVC was in their villain takes, I think that either, Green Goblin or Doc Ock could be amazing picks. And the other key thing about these characters is that I believe they don't only, fill up a little more of villain slots, but also they could help you to fill up different archetypes or like playstyles in the roster of the game that you don't have until now. And especially Doc Ock, I think, could make for an incredibly unique character gameplay wise. Green Goblin could maybe be a little similar to what Iron Man is at the moment, because if you have Green Goblin in a fighting game, he would probably be a flyer with the glider. But I think a Doc Ock could just be one of the most unique, fun game characters in the Marvel comic universe that you could add into this game. And I would love to see him in the roster, but I will also accept Green Goblin. Like, any of the two for me would be fine for the next villain pick in the game. And now we move into picks number 7 and 8, and to me these are the most important characters in this list because they have never been in a Marvel fighting game before. ArcSys again has said publicly that they want to make something different from what MVC was in the side of picking characters and what the roster is gonna be, and these are arguably the best Marvel characters like ever in the franchise that have not made it into a fighting game, because they are perfect for a fighting game conceptually, both in visual and gameplay terms. And these are Blade and Daredevil. To me, Blade and Daredevil have to make it into the launch roster of the game. They cannot be DLC characters. If ArcSys is actually being honest about their idea of making something really different from what NBC was, gameplay wise and roster wise, I think that Blade and Daredevil just have to make it. They are arguably the best Marvel characters ever to put into a fighting game that actually has just never been on one. It would be so weird if they are not in Tokon, especially with the public statements of the developers. So I just hope that both Blade and Daredevil make it into the launch of Marvel Tōkon. And now we finally get into the last two picks, and I think that a lot of people are gonna like this one. So of course they are female characters because the game does need more female representation, and the ones that I personally pick are Magik and Emma Frost. I think that they just make a ton of sense. For example, Magik can easily be your sword stance character, and when was the last time that you played an ArcSys fighting game that doesn't have a sword character? Like, never, right? And the game doesn't have one still, and Magik just is perfect for that because not only she's the sword character, she can also be a summoner archetype, you know, with the demons and all of that, and also she has an ArcSys aesthetic to her, you know, as a character. She can easily look as one of the most unique and beautiful characters visually in the game, so Magik to me has to make it. And then with Emma, I think that Emma just makes also a lot of sense. She was actually considered for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but did not make it into the game. You can easily make her some sort of mix in between a grappler and a brawler, you know, and there is no grappler in the game still. We don't have, you know, or Zangief or whatever in Tokon, so she could easily be a very interesting grappler archetype and be one of the most fun characters in the game. So yeah, I think that Magik and Emma make a ton of sense for the roster in multiple different reasons, like the female representation, the archetypes that you lack, also the visual style that ArcSys likes to work on. So I think that Magik and Emma Frost are probably gonna make it. And that was the video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to support the channel like I said earlier, and of course let me know in the comments which Marvel characters you want to see in Tokon. I'm personally super excited for this game. I want to play it again, and I truly hope that it does well. You know, the ArcSys pull up all the strengths that they need to make the game a huge success, both at the character roster choices and gameplay wise. See you on the next one, guys. Keep enjoying funny games.
Yeah.